Now Taiwan try to be saying that we are not related with China, but all our sort is from China, very old-fashioned. I was the only child of the family, and so my father and my mother is always at pressure that my family should adopt a son, or my father should have a concubine to have a son. That is the common sort of Taiwan during 50, 60, 70s. So I always have to prove that I'm as good as a son. So for me, fighting is part of my DNA.
From Escape Collective, this is Overnight Success, the podcast about the entrepreneurs, the personalities, and the passionate people who make up the sport of cycling and the stories behind the icons they've built. You could very well argue that Bonnie Tu is the most powerful woman in cycling, although she wouldn't think of describing herself that way. She's best known as the face of the Liv brand she created back in 2008, but more than that, she's the chairperson of the largest bike brand in the world. What does that mean? Well, quite simply, she runs the entire show. Giant Bicycles is a publicly traded, over $2 billion per year revenue company that produces millions of bikes per year, not to mention being the manufacturer for a number of the largest, most reputable bike brands in the industry. Giant was founded in 1972. That's over 48 years ago. And Bonnie was one of the founding shareholders. And as you'll hear, she was very influential in many of the company's foundations and the pathway during its history. Now, as much as I love the podcasting medium to be able to tell these stories, this is one that I wish you could see Bonnie as she's speaking. She puts you very much at ease with this smile and understated, lighthearted, very humble way. But every so often, a topic would come up that would bring out these deep-seated convictions, and a switch would be flicked. And she would lean forward and look at me with an intensity that punctuated these beliefs. Now, this is the growth story of Bonnie Tu, and not necessarily the story of Giant Bicycles or Liv, but they're so intertwined that it's hard not to tell one story without the other.
You see, my first time of riding a bicycle was when I was 10 years old. My father, because at that time, Taiwan is very poor, so we do not have many material goods. So I remember my father went to a very dusty black bicycle shop to rent as I think it is 20-inch bike.
Right.
And then he helped me to learn how to ride a bicycle on that 20-inch rental bike.
Is that right?
And I still remember that my father tried to hold on to the bike at the back of the tire and then help me and push me to go forward and encourage me when I fell down because it really hurt. As a young girl, of course, you don't want a rental bike that is black and dusty and not very pleasing. But it is a machine that helps you and go faster than walking. That is something quite unusual for me.
Yeah.
Before that, I only know at that time we don't have car. We do have taxi, and then the another choice is bus and walk. So bicycle is a good alternative. But at that time, my house, we do not have a bike at all.
Yeah, wow. It seems to be something every parent wants their child to know how to do, isn't it? It's quite amazing that still exists.
Yeah, I really appreciate that my father really put an effort to taught me how to ride a bicycle while I was 10 years old.
And what was growing up culturally in Taiwan like for you at that time? Was it, I guess, the freedom that a bike can bring? Were you encouraged to be free and that, or was it a conservative upbringing, or how would you describe it?
Okay, in Taiwan, the parents are always very strict with the children. You have to do the housework. You have to obey the order from more senior people, not only your parents, but everybody senior than you. You must follow their advice. That is the upbringing in Taiwan, especially for girls. It is extremely strict.
So this was the norm for you growing up at that time.
Yes, during that period of time.
As it should be.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
Respect your elders, yes.
Yes.
The bike played only a minor role in Bonnie's upbringing, and it's not the typical industry story of person discovers bike, person gets obsessed by the bike, and then person creates a career around the bike. It wasn't that at all. Bonnie went on to university in Taiwan, and judging by her career path, winding up as Giant's CFO, you'd think she would have had a traditional education in accounting, commerce, or finance. But she admits her path was anything but straight and without a clear vision. Bonnie was a voracious reader, and her love was with the arts. She studied literature in university. She loved drama and dancing, and wanted to become a movie director in her young, formative years. But as life sometimes goes, she never took that path, and she ended up staying in Taiwan, doing a job she admits she really didn't like, and that was teaching English.
Oh, wow, that was a disaster. Because I had to teach, seventh grade. That is the first year of the junior high, and they learn English for the first time. So I had to teach them to how to write ABC, and then I teach 7 class. Each class had more than 50 students. So that means I have to go through the notebook of almost 400 notebook weekly.
In the evenings.
Yeah, in the evening, yes.
So you didn't enjoy it? Is that it was just a lot of work and
Actually, I burned out in the first year.
Yeah, right.
Because I try to teach them they need to know. And they only have 3 hours class in 1 week. And then I cannot finish all the curriculum within 3 hours. So I went to borrow the hours from the music or the sports and try to give the student extra hour to cover their curriculum. So I burned out.
And they wouldn't have liked it either.
And the student also don't like it. So that is my first year as a teacher.
So you stopped teaching it after that?
No, I stopped because I burned out and I I was sick because burned out. So I stopped.
And was anything going through your head at the time thinking, I really wish I could do this? Or did you have any career path that you wanted to take? Or was it pretty unknown still?
At that time, I was thinking I will be a writer.
A writer, right? Naturally, yes.
Yeah, I want to write a novel. I write poetry, and but that didn't work well.
Did you try? Did you have a shot at it, or?
I did try, but I don't think I maybe have good eyes, but I do not think I'm very creative.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I think.
So I rest for a year, and I have a help out with my father's clinic. My father is a medical doctor.
Okay.
So he needs people to help in the clinic. So I help to count the money, try to make the book for my father, and all that. So I start for 1 year. I start in my house, and then after that, I went to States.
Oh wow! What did you do in the U.S.?
Yeah, drifting around.
Drifting around, really?
Yeah, as a drifter.
Which part of the U.S. did you go to?
I went to the East Coast. I have friends in Philadelphia, so I spent less than a year in States, and then after that I came back to Taiwan, and then I work as a clerk in a trading company, a small assistant in a trading company.
And was that what you wanted to do, or was that kind of just getting you by while you figured out what you wanted to do?
Actually, I think at that time I didn't know what I want to do. Uh, to be honest, I just should be very proud that I'm educated. I know everything. I think I know everything. Okay. So,
Yes, don't we all?
young men, young women, when you read some books, you think you are educated. You got a college diploma, you think you are educated. Okay. And so I spend my most of the free time listen to the music, watching movies, and also read some more books.
Yeah, right.
And then I go to the trading company. The trading company is in Taipei. So I work very hard so I can get paid decently.
Yes, yes. And did you get more exposure to finance and in the books and stuff?
No, not at all. Because trading at that time is you have to, the boss will assign me the account. So I have to help them to purchase things from Taiwan and make sure everything delivered. And they will pay us, and the goods reach there, everybody happy, something like that. That is in the 70s. Taiwan is at the
In the
boom of
70s.
the uh, trading.
Now, this is where Bonnie and the Giant Bicycle Group both begin on parallel paths. You see, Giant started, and still is, a family business. Bonnie's uncle is King Liu, the co-founder of Giant along with Tony Low. And in 1972, it was a family decision to start a bike company.
In my university, the founder of Giant, Mr. King Liu,
Yeah,
mentioned that we should start a bicycle company.
right.
Yeah. And then I'm the first one in my family to say, yes, we should. Because before Mr. King Liu mentioned that we should start a bicycle manufacturing uh, company, I read an article in the Reader's Digest talking about the US bicycle boom because of the first oil crisis. And also there's a doctor called Dr. White talking about the cycling is good for your heart. So at that time in the 70s, there was a bicycle boom in States. So I'm the first one in my family say, yes, we should. We should invest into this cycling business. Yeah. So from the day one, Giant, I participate in the first shareholders meeting, participate on the first directors meeting, board of directors meeting. So that was my first year after I graduate.
Wow.
So my teaching, training job and state is parallel, the same with the Giant first 5 years.
And the discussion around this time about starting a bike company, what was the vision for that bike company? Do you remember?
I of course at that time is the Mr. King Liu said, "Wow, America came with cash to buy a bicycle from Taiwan, so we should." There's no vision, just make.
Just
Okay,
there's a business here. Yes.
there's nothing fancy there. Okay, to be very honest,
Yeah.
we just think it is a good business, and I said I still remember that at that year I was 23 years old. What do I know?
Yeah. But you put up your hand.
Okay.
So, from my understanding, one of the big first breakthroughs for Giant was to manufacture bikes for Schwinn. Is that correct?
Yes, that was in. I think that the talk start in 77. 1977, 78. And then we were able to make the first their tri order under the brand, not Shrine. It's called World Bicycle.
Word.
Yes. So I still remember that it's 3,000 units. And then it was so meet to Shrine's quality requirement. So we are get to do the following orders.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I still remember it is a 10-speed bicycle, 10 speed. And I think it's a drop bar. And then the shifter is at down tilt. I still remember that. Yeah, because by that time, 1978, I was already in John, working as an assistant to King.
And what kind of things were you doing at this point?
At that time, as a assistant, I do a lot of things. You see, at that time, only people very few people can speak English. So of course, Mr. Tony Low.
Mm-hmm.
He at that time he is in charge of the sales.
Right.
But most of the time he is in Taipei, and my factory is in Taichung, that is in the middle of Taiwan. So whenever there's a buyer coming to visit us, and came along, I have to do uh, the communication with this foreign buyer.
Okay.
Okay, and then I also in charge of the purchasing of the components from Japan, America, uh, and Europe.
Okay.
I still remember that we almost import most of the components from Japan, and I still remember that we import the pedal from Germany.
And what do you remember about that time? Like, were you like a young startup business full of excitement, and did it start with fireworks, or was it a slower, more gradual start at that time?
Oh, we have a lot of setback. Like when the giant first complete all the factory facilities, the bicycle boom is already gone.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and then at that time, the Mr. Liu and Mr. Low went to U.S. and then at the most of the bicycle dealers shop, they have a signboard say we don't repair Taiwan-made bicycle
Really?
because the quality is so bad.
Wow.
But we are the only, at that time, we are the only uh, factory in Taiwan that really care about the quality because Mr. Liu is a born engineer. He know how to make the bicycle, good quality bicycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
He made all the machinery we need to make bicycle. He is somehow of like a genius of making machine.
Did you guys eventually break down the perception of, I guess, the quality through
Yes,
just, yeah,
through the Shuin.
through Schwinn?
And yes, Shuin said, wow, this Taiwan company, this Taiwan small manufacturer really make a good quality bicycle. And so that is the breakthrough. But before that, we already make Nishiki. Do you know Nishiki bicycle?
Yeah, I remember them well. I used to have a Nishiki mountain
Yeah,
bike.
yeah. The Nishiki, I think we helped Nishiki to become famous.
Okay.
And after that, we make Shui. And the real breakthrough is Shui.
And what was the impetus behind, okay, we're not going to be an anonymous manufacturer anymore. We're going to start making bikes with our name on it. What was the thing that drove that decision?
Okay. By late 70s, we are already doing quite good bicycles. And we are already one of very well established manufacturer in Taiwan. But all my colleagues thinks that we make bicycle, but we are nameless. We don't have a bike that we can call our own.
Yeah.
And so we need something to prove ourselves. So Mr. Low come up with an idea saying, how about we make our own bicycle and with our company name, Giant, and sell in Taiwan. So we start to do that in 1981.
I thought I read somewhere that the manufacturing of Schwinn dwindled. Was that a reason for going that way as well because of a necessity, or was that something that happened that wasn't causing this decision?
Uh, you see, in Taiwan, it is just something that we want to prove to ourselves and also to our colleague that we have something that we can work toward to, that we can have something that go out to tell our teams and friends that this is the company that I work for.
And where did the name Giant come from? Was that the name of it from the beginning, or was that a?
Yes,
It
that
was.
is the name from the very beginning. Because at that time, we are an OEM manufacturer. We need a name that people can easily remember. At that time, baseball was very, very popular in Taiwan. And as you know, one of the most famous bicycle team in States and also in Japan is Giant.
Yeah, yeah.
So we name ourselves Giant.
There you go. And is often with small companies just getting starting out, you have to try to sound and look bigger than you are too, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's why Mr. Tony Law always explain to the people that we are small giant.
Small Giant.
Because people always laugh at us as such a small OEM manufacturer named Giant. That is a joke of the industry.
Bonnie left Giant for 12 years and spent that time in Singapore and Malaysia helping her husband run the operations behind his business. During this time, Bonnie had to become financially savvy, and that's where she learned the art of that craft. She was also obsessed about golf, and during that time began acquiring a good network of friends in the banking industry where she was exposed to this environment and paid close attention to their advice. This is where she says she picked up her financial common sense. Was it something that was something that you took to, that you were interested in? Being quite, I guess, an artist, you might call yourself previous. Was finance something that you took a liking to?
Yeah, they actually finance it, as you say, finance is actually an art. And actually, as a CFO, actually you are a salesman of your whole company to the bank, to when you are listed to your investor. And for sales, you require a sort of acting.
I know that.
You need to, yeah, you need to do a good presentation that require a good acting.
Yeah.
And so that is also a part of the drama.
It's a good way to think of it. That's very unique. Yes.
Maybe my way of thinking is always a little bit different from the other people because I'm not a very orthodox businessman
Right.
or businesswoman.
Yes. You had finance background coming in, and you say you started out with just being an assistant to Mr. Liu
Yes.
in the company.
Yes.
And tell me about the other positions that you occupied during your early years.
During my early years, actually, because I helped the company to do the purchasing, or we call it abroad purchasing from the international purchasing. So I start to understand that it require good arrangement. So I have a sense of just in time. Before I know anything about the Toyota system or the just in time or the lean management or the lean manufacturing. But all I know is my components need to be in the warehouse and able to supply to the assembly line before they need. And at that time, Giant, we do not have many financial resources. So we cannot afford to put the components in a warehouse for a long time. So it is better to be just before you need it, the shipment arrive, and then go to the assembly line. And then you can assembly on it, then can ship out, then you can get paid.
Yeah, very cash intensive.
Yeah, that is very intensive. So that is what I learned. So I think at that time, the warehouse people always cannot give me the data in time for me to send out the purchase order. They cannot in time to meet the vendor's lead time. So I always had to struggle with a small calculator and try to figure out what I need to purchase from Japan, what I need to purchase from Germany, what I need to purchase from USA. So at that time, I think we need a computer.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to forget that you're probably talking about the 80s?
No, late 70s.
Late 70s. Yeah, there's none of that.
Uh-huh. There's none of that, right? So I'm the first one to tell Mr. King Liu that we need to buy a computer.
Okay.
So I bought the computer. It is a brand called Wang, W-A-N-G.
I remember when.
None of you ever heard of it because
I've heard of it.
that company went bankrupt.
Did it?
Yes, Wang went bankrupt. It's a U.S. company.
I remember hearing of it on Positive when I was a young kid. There was a TV commercial, unless it's a different one.
I think that was I bought the computer in 79, 1970, and then delivered in 1980.
And what type of role did you take in 91 when you came back to Giant?
I came back as an assistant again.
Assistant again. Oh.
Mr. King Liu. At that time, Giant, we already had many sales companies in overseas.
Yeah.
And so we need extra hand. So they asked me to come back. So I said, oh, okay. But in between, I'm still in the board of I'm the director in the board.
So you still had your finger on the pulse.
I never left Giant because I always come back for the board meeting. At least we have 5 times a year.
How much did the company grow in that 12 years that you were gone and came back?
I remember in 1979, we produced about 300,000 units of bicycle.
Really?
Per year.
Wow.
But when I came back, Giant produced 1.5 million units of bicycle. And of course, revenue-wise is, I think, more than 10 times. So in 1992, we were thinking of we should go public because if we can go public, we need more resources to help us to be able to grow in China because by that 90, we go to China in 1992.
Okay.
And that is such a big market. We need more resources in order to grow in that market. So we were thinking of we should go IPO. And then the first IPO, that we are short-handed. So Mr. King Liu say, since you think we should go IPO, actually I'm the one who suggests to Mr. King Liu say that if we want to go to China to try to cover that market, we need more resources. We should go IPO.
Yeah.
So he said, since it's your idea, you go to do it.
That's a huge job.
Yeah, that is a huge job.
How did you approach that?
But you see, we have very good accounting staff, and most of the Taiwanese accounting people is very hardworking. And as you know, that Chinese is good with numbers. So the Taiwan's accounting standard is quite good. So it is not. I would say that we work day and night.
Yeah.
We not only overtime. It is a job of the day and night because after I became in charge of the finance in 1993.
Okay.
And by 94, we are already listed.
Right.
So we really work day and night. It's almost 18 hours per day.
Had you guys had any private investment up until that point, or was IPO pretty much the only place to go in terms of investment that you considered?
No, there's At that time we do not have any financial investor from the, let's say, PE fund. No,
Right.
no such things.
Yeah.
We just have our original shareholder, and that's all. That is all we have. Very simple, straightforward,
Yeah.
just like a child.
Yeah.
We are a bunch of simple, straightforward people.
Understated, to put it mildly, but I think we all get the point. Now, this is where we start to get into something deep inside Bonnie's DNA. Bonnie didn't rise to the top position at the largest bicycle manufacturer in the world by sitting still. I asked her about navigating this male-dominated industry and the glass ceiling that's been experienced by so many females who have come before and after her. And her answer is something I didn't expect.
Talking about this, I should go back to my more personal story. I was the only child of the family. And at that time in Taiwan, now Taiwan tried to be saying that we are not related with China, but all our thought is from China. All these families, values, and all that is very old-fashioned.
Right.
And so the only girls in the family, the only child in the family, my father and my mother is always at pressure from my grandmother that my family should adopt a son, or my father should have a concubine to have a son.
Okay.
This is very strange to you, right? It's the truth. That is the common thought of Taiwan during 1950, 60, 70s.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the common practice. So, and at that time, I always have to prove that I'm as good as a son. So all these years, I always have to prove to my relatives, especially my father's side brothers and cousins, that I'm as good as a son. So for me, fighting is part of my DNA.
Yeah. This is what you know.
Otherwise, you see, if you read all these novels from UK, they also will mention that the female will not get to inherit the the property from the parents. That will go to a distant cousin because their family do not have a male heir, right? So that is the same. There's nothing strange over here. It's the same.
This is what you do. This is how you live. Yeah.
So that's why I always want to have equal opportunity. I want to have opportunity to prove that female is as good as male.
Did it ever occur to you, I guess, at some point in your life, in your career, that no, it shouldn't actually have to be that difficult? Or is it just so ingrained into you, part of your DNA?
Yeah, I think it is a part of my DNA. I don't feel it at all.
Right.
And so I always told the girls that do not believe in equal opportunity. You have to be overqualified,
right,
in order to get whatever you need. So prepare for it. Get yourself overqualified.
Yeah, okay.
And you can beat other people.
This podcast is fully funded by our members at Escape Collective. In fact, all of our content on our website and our podcast network is 100% supported by our members who believe that cycling media should be independent from the sport and industry we cover, and that we should exist to serve you rather than live or die by our ability to be a platform for the sole purpose of selling you more stuff. If you enjoy this podcast or any of our other work and believe in our mission of independence, please go to escapecollective.com/join and become a member today. Thank you for your support. As I mentioned earlier, Bonnie's love affair with the bike didn't take the same path as many others you've heard about in this podcast. It wasn't until 2007, in her late 50s, when Bonnie got reacquainted with cycling since her childhood. But this time, the bike bug bit her hard. She signed up for a bike tour around Taiwan with her uncle and CEO of Giant, Mr. King Liu. This time, it expired her creation for Live and advocating to get more women to fall in love with cycling too.
I stopped playing golf at the age of 57. I started my golf at the age of 27. And I played 30 years up to 57. And then I went to this bicycle journey with Mr. King Liu. I joined him on his first tour de Taiwan. It was 2007. It's 15 days around Taiwan.
Yeah.
And I only joined a quarter of it, the last quarter. And after the ride, I fell so in love with cycling. So I think golfing, I always say golf is an ego buster and cycling is an ego booster. After age of 57, I concentrate on cycling.
Wow.
And I pick up other sports just in order to, I can ride better. Such I took yoga, so I can be more flexible, so I can ride better.
Yeah.
My posture can look nicer on the bike.
And tell me about your experience with getting a bike for the first time and seeing this through a customer's eyes. Tell me about that experience and what you started thinking and your thoughts forming around Live.
You know, after I start to ride bicycle, I start to look on the bike from the eyes as a consumer. I'm a very, very picky rider. Anything, there's anything wrong with a bike, I running up and down, and I criticize ruthlessly. You see, at that time, Giant, we make, I think we make that time. They call this is the woman's bike. So it is at the very beginning. It is just a shrink and pink it bike. You know, we call it shrink it, pink it, and flower it. So it's that kind of bike.
Yeah.
And then the componentry is not good at all because it is always much inferior than the man.
Okay.
So I remember that when I went out to ride with Mr. King Liu, because I was so slow, he went ahead and then he would wait for me at the rest point. And when I finally reached the rest point, he will say, "Okay, Bonnie, you reach here. Very good. Take a rest. I go first." Then he rolled off. And then I take a break. Like that. And drink a lot of water.
That's the worst.
It is not fair. At that time, he is already on the carbon bike. Oh, yeah, FCR, Defy. That is the previous model of Defy is called FCR. And I don't remember what bike I rode. Anyway, I know I do not have a proper shoe. I do not have proper clothing, and I have a very poor bike.
Yeah. Not fair.
So, not fair. So after that, we decide to come up with our own bike. So we try to design based on the woman's geometry, more friendly to women. The geometry is, and then with the right sizing for women, and also design the apparel.
Yep.
That is at that time is the most important task.
Yeah.
To design the apparel to match with the bike.
Was this something that did you do a business case for? You saw a need for this. There was a gap in the market, or was it a gut feel approach into the market that you had?
It's all gut feel.
All gut feel.
If it is a business case, the whole thing will not happen because the market is so small.
Yeah. So you needed to grow that.
Yeah, we need to grow. all our gut feeling is the half of the world's population is female.
Mm-hmm.
So there should be a market for it.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Because, Joanne, we are, as I explained to you, we are very simple people. We are not very sophisticated. So anything we do is all because we think we should do.
right. Right.
We always do the thing that we should based on an agreement that we should, then we do it.
Right.
Whether it is going to make money, that is another story.
Yeah.
We do, the first thing is we do what we should. And then after that, we'll think how we can make money, we can make profit.
Did it feel risky at the time?
Of course, we feel risky. That's why it takes us a few years to promote it outside of Taiwan.
Mm.
In 2008, we launched it in Taiwan. We launched to the world in 2014.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So by that time, is we already sell to most of the world, and then we announced in the Back Europe show.
As you well know, product is definitely one barrier to entry for females into the market,
Mm-hmm.
but there's others too. And last time I spoke to you, you explained some of them, everywhere from approachability from dealers to
Mm-hmm.
the entire system of female in
Yes.
sport. And you've gone further than the product. You've invested into sponsoring the Afghan national women's team.
Team, yes.
You've sponsored female world tour
Yes.
teams. Tell me about how the approach for those activities, if it's different, and how it's different from, say, the Giant brand and sponsoring a world tour team, for example, or sponsorship. How do you do that differently that it works, or do you?
Okay, you see, our sponsor of the world team is actually at the very beginning is come with the team, with the men's team,
Mm-hmm.
because it is all this world tour team is always have three teams: the men's team, the women's team, the continental team. And working with women, that we really get to know the what the professional rider needs, and so that elevate the level of our products.
Mm.
So that is a very crucial experience that they are willing to share with us.
Right.
And then when we develop new things, they will get put input into helping us to develop the product. And after that, we send out to them, and so they can do the field test and how it actually functions in the real situation. So it really helped us.
Yeah.
And of course, as you know, that female athletic is never taken seriously by the sports industry. So we really want to help all these girls. They have so much passion to the cycling.
Yep.
To help them to fulfill their dreams. But if you look at the golfing golfing in Asia is almost the men's tour is almost went down. No, very quiet.
Right.
But what is very popular now in Asia is actually the female golf competition. It's
Okay.
more popular in Asia.
Huh.
So you never know.
Yeah.
Maybe we help them that one day this will become a men sports event.
Yeah.
And besides, we need a females racing team to get women inspired, especially for the younger generation. They need heroine to inspire them. They need a role model. So this will be a good inspiration to the younger generation to cultivate their passion for the cycling.
A lot of bike brands followed suit and did female specific bikes and colorways, and then you've seen in recent years they've retracted from that and have gone towards maybe just speccing the bike differently. And there's some valid reasons for that. What's the rationale that you have to, create a whole different brand for women to connect with and product?
My competitors, they retreat from the women's specific bike. So I also start to doubt myself. So did I do the right decision or I carry it too far? So I talk with my doctors. I have family friends. As you know, my father was a doctor because now he retired. He is more than 90, so of course he retired. But I do have many doctor friends. I talk to them, so I ask them, so what do you think about the men and women? So should women have a woman-specific bike? Then look at me and told me very seriously and looked straight into my eyes. He told me, Bonnie, of course, men and women are different. We are built differently. Of course, women need women's specific bike. And this doctor is a graduate, is a PhD from Harvard Medical School. Okay, he is not just any doctor. He is a very serious doctor.
And you that reaffirmed your decision.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, good.
But because he is so busy, he cannot. Although I ask request that can you find some research paper for me, but he failed to do that. This friend of mine.
Well, I think we all know male and female are different, and we have different requirements, and we connect with different things, and it's just a different approach.
Yeah. So my new theory is if my competitor thinks that female can just change some touch point and use a man's bike, then why don't they build their bike based on women's geometry and then men change the touch point?
Yes.
Isn't that fair?
I see where you're coming from. Yes.
Yeah.
So up until this point, you have led a remarkably successful career. And then you, what was it, 2016, you were promoted to chairperson. How has life changed since 2016 for you?
The best thing is now I have more resources to represent LIP.
There you go.
Okay. So whenever people introduce me, they will say, "Oh, she is the chairperson of the giant group, and she is also the founder of Lead Brand. She create a brand, as one and only female cycling brand in the industry. So I'm very proud of. I think before I'm very proud of to be the founder of Lead Brand. Then I'm the chairperson of the giant group.
And how has your day-to-day role changed within the company? What do you find yourself doing these days that's different than CFO?
I had more time to do cycling.
Do you really? That's great.
Yeah. So I can be a little bit late to come to the office. So I wake up very early in the morning, so I can spend at least 30 minutes on my smart trainer.
Mm-hmm.
So I ride on the Z Whip. So that make me happier.
Yeah. It clears the head, like you said.
So I can be, and then after that, I can take a shower and then come to the office.
And
so that is the advantage, the privilege as a chairperson.
Yes. Around that time after you came in as chairperson, the stock had been declining, and not long after you took that seat, it began to rise again. What were some of the challenges that you came into that job facing?
Okay, you see, after I took the seat, actually our China domestic market collapsed because the bike sharing in China.
Right.
And then the China domestic market for Giant almost shrink from 3 million units to less than 1 million.
Wow. Just those bikes flooded the market.
Yeah. So our factory lost more than 2 million units order. So that means the production facilities, 2 million is idle.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? So of course, the whole the share price of course will come down.
Yeah.
But thanks to the e-bike and of course the COVID-19, the God sent the people to cycling.
Yeah.
So now we cannot make enough bike
Yeah.
to fill the demands of the market.
And I imagine the U.S. tariff changes have been a source of keeping you awake at night too.
There's always you see, running a business, there's always something nuts from the market, not just the competition only. There's so many trade barrier. There's so many political issues that you have to counter.
Yeah, that you can't control.
You have to reflect immediately. So, and I would say, so far so good. We manage well.
Yeah, yeah.
My CEO worked very hard. My CEO, Mr. Yang Liu, worked very hard, and all my staff, all these my colleague, we work very hard to put everything under control.
How do you and Mr. Liu break up your roles of responsibility in the company?
He is more on day-to-day operation, and I will be in charge of these mostly the IT finance.
Mm-hmm.
And also
the weighing computers.
IT and also these the PR, IR,
Yeah.
and also our vision and strategy.
Yeah. Okay. Now, you've really, whether you like it or not, you've become very much a role model for women aspiring in the bike industry, women in general, in many ways. Was that something you ever expected or even wanted or anticipated?
I do not think I'm a very smart person, and I do not think I'm a very sophisticated person. I think I'm very hardworking, and I have a kind of commitment. Whenever I need to do, I will make sure I will reach it.
Uh-huh.
And when I do sports, I definitely do to finish it. And I I think somehow it give the younger female a kind of inspiration.
How would you describe your leadership style?
Uh, I think I'm lead by doing it.
Doing.
I do it. Whenever people say, "Oh, it is very difficult," then I will say, "I will do it.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I will do it. If you don't want, I can certainly do it. No matter what kind of job."
Yeah.
I will say, "I will do it."
I've heard you before describe, the, I guess, nickname godmother, of women's cycling. I remember hearing you explain once that analogy could be fitting in some way because you like to let people make their own mistakes, give them along,
Yes.
Trusting in that. Does that leadership come naturally to you, do you find, or is it something that you really have to concentrate on and work on?
Yeah, at first actually in the work I'm very strict because I picked that up while I'm working in a trading company in Taipei. I have a very hard mentor, so I when I do things I very strict.
Right.
And then during the years I find out that is not the best way because you scare people away.
Mm.
And so when you become age, you also become narrower. So when we start the live, I'm already almost 60.
Mm.
So at that time, I had more patience. So, and I know that the very small core team of live when we started, I know they have passion, they have commitment, for live, but they are inexperienced. So I want them to make the decision so they can learn from it.
Mm.
So if anything, if it break, I will try to pick it up and glue it back. So because at that time we do not have resources. So anything we have to invent by ourselves.
Now, remember when I said at the beginning of this podcast how Bonnie will sometimes flick a switch and say something with such intensity and conviction? This is one of those times. What would be the advice you would give a 20-year-old Bonnie 2?
Take every opportunity. Never take no as no. Try it. Anything. Try everything. You will know what is the consequence.
I'm Wade Wallace, and thanks for listening to another episode of Overnight Success. If you have suggestions on a remarkable entrepreneurial story within the cycling industry, hit me up on our members Discord channel where I'd love to hear about it. Until next time, stay inspired and stay tuned for our next episode.